We didn't learn Tanya for a while. So in the middle of Perek Mem Beis, we are on page Samach on the top and 223 at the bottom. And we're going to start really from the top of the page. Okay, just to catch up a little bit, we didn't learn for Tanya, we didn't learn probably for 6-7 weeks. Now, the Rabbi in Perek Mem Beis is saying, based on what we learned, that every Jew possesses this level of fear of Hashem, love of Hashem, we can understand what the Gemara says on the Pasuk, that Hashem, V'ata Yisrael ma Hashem Elokecha shel mimach. Now, Jews, what does Hashem want from you? The only thing He wants from you is to fear God. So the Gemara asks, is it such an easy thing? Is fear of God, that's all He wants? It's terror. It's very difficult. The fear of Hashem means He's constantly present in our face and we'll never sin. So, what is it? So the Gemara answered for Moshe Rabbeinu, it's easy. So the Alter Rebbe asked, but He's not speaking to Moshe Rabbeinu, He's speaking to us. Okay, so the Alter Rebbe elaborated. I'm just going through the major points to learn, continue. So the Alter Rebbe explained that every Jew has a Moshe Rabbeinu within them. Every Jew has this level of fear and love. Every Jew has these levels within him. But he has to reveal it. Now, how do you reveal it? And that's, in other words, it's not something we have to create within us. It's there. You just have to reveal it. So he says, how do we do it? So he says two things. One is breaking the body and breaking the darkness that gets in the way of the neshama, obviously, because the body conceals the neshama. So if you want to reveal the neshama, the essence, you got to break the body. And then he says, Yigias HaNefesh, meaning when you realize that you meditate in Hashem every day, constantly, and in the greatness of Hashem, that causes the neshama within the Jew to reveal itself, to become stronger. And that's what we're going to start now on the top of Samach 223, at the bottom Samach on top. Like the Gemara says, Yogaiti umatsasi tamin. If somebody tells you, I didn't work and I got it, don't believe him. If they say I worked and I didn't get it, don't believe them. It says, Yogaiti matzasi. If I made an effort and I found it, and like we learned last time, these lines we learned, that you get a mitzvah means more than what you anticipated getting. Or the ksiv, like the pasuk says, im tefakshena, bekekesef. If you seek it, meaning if you seek God, like silver, and you'll see God like hidden treasures. In other words, you're really gonna dig deep into ourselves to find a treasure. There's a pasuk that says, "Va'atem tiuli eretz chayfetz." You will be a desirable land for me. And the Baal Shem Tov said, what does that mean? What does it mean that the Jews are a desirable land? So the Baal Shem Tov explained what it means is that just like the biggest treasures of the world, the diamonds and all the precious stones, are in the ground. They're buried. But Hashem did not make them accessible. You just walk in the street and pick gold off the street. You have to dig it. What are you uncovering? Mud. The mud is covering the treasure. The treasure is there. You just have to uncover the mud. And that's what the Baal Shem Tov said the pasuk means, that every single Jew is Eretz Chayfetz, a desirable land, full of treasures. Really full of treasures. But you need to go look for it. You need to dig. You have to remove the mud. And then he says, then, Tav and Yiras Hashem, then you will understand, the pasuk says, the fear of God. Meaning, Kederech shemechapis adam, just like a person seeks matman va'etzerat tomen, a treasure, and a treasure that's hidden. Betachlis, or it's underneath the ground. What does he do? You dig. If somebody told you there's a treasure in your backyard, what are you going to do? You're going to dig. You're going to dig and with an effort and find it. And he says, Kach, the same way, where are we digging in ourselves? We're digging in ourselves. We need to dig with this great effort to reveal this treasure of fear, and that also means love that a Jew has, which is hidden and concealed in the depth of the heart, in the understanding of the heart, shall call Adam Yisrael, of every single Jew. Well, I'm just going to say and explain it. That level within the neshama is timeless. It's not bound within time. It's not a question of how much time it takes, or that you didn't have it until now. It's a thing above time and place, like tshuva is. You know, there's a famous mashal they give. You don't know the kids' books even. Yankel the tailor once had a dream that outside the king's palace, beneath the gate, outside the king's palace, there's a treasure. There's a treasure for him. So he was a pauper, had nothing. He said, you know what? It's a dream. I'm going to go there. I'm going to dig outside the king's gate. Maybe I'll find the treasure. He told me in the dream. He comes there. He starts digging. In a second, the guards came. And he said, Yankel, they wanted to take him into prison. So Yankel the tailor starts crying. He says, no, please. So he said, what are you doing here? He said to them, I'll tell you the truth. I had a dream that there's a treasure for me under the king's gate, and I'm going to find the treasure. So the guard says to him, you fool, I had a dream last night that in Yankel the tailor's house, underneath the oven, there's a treasure. Do you think I'm going to go there and look for the treasure? It's a dream. Don't be stupid. Yankel the tailor hears this. He runs home. He pushes away his oven. He digs underneath it, and he finds the treasure. That's the story. What's the lesson? We're always looking all over the place for the treasures, and the only place we're not looking is in my own house, buried in myself, in my own neshama. So the Rebbe is saying, in order to reveal this Moshe Rabbeinu within us, the Gemara says, is fear such an easy thing? And the Gemara says, yeah, for Moshe it's easy. Because Moshe Rabbeinu has this level of fear. And he instills it, like the Alter Rebbe said, into every single Jew. Every single Jew has a Moshe Rabbeinu within them. But by Moshe Rabbeinu is revealed. By us, we have to dig for it. And we have to make an effort. And he says, V'yira tivis, this is the natural instinctive love, Hamasuteres now, which is concealed within every single Jew. Rak, but in order for this fear to bring to action, to fear sin, the Yesor Merah, to turn away from evil, which is the source of fear. Love is the source of, Alter Rebbe explained before in Tanya. Love, I love you, I want to attach myself to you. That's by doing positive mitzvahs. Yira, fear, is not to rebel against the king, not to hurt the king. That's negative commandments. That's the level of loy sa'aseh. He says, when a person has yira chet, to be turning away from evil, whether it's thought, action, ma'aseh, dibur, machshava, in order for a person not to come to sin, all you have to do, he says, is to reveal that fear of Hashem that we have. You don't have to create it. It's there. You just have to reveal it. The galeisa mitzpune binas alev, to reveal it from the concealment of the bin of the heart, which is l'mayla mi'azman, above time, la'aviyah, to bring it, l'bchinas machshava mamish, to bring it to the level of thought which is in the head, lahamek ba machshavti meshech zman ma mamish, to meditate into it until you come to do the action of Torah mitzvahs. Asheteti pulasa me'akecha lapel. Meaning like this. Let's give a mashal that explains a concept Chassidus explains. You have, let's say, fire. Okay, so you have a fire that's open fire. Okay, campfire, it's open fire. Barbecue, it's open fire. But sometimes you have in the barbecue that the coals are boiling hot. You touch it, you're going to burn yourself. But there's no visible fire. How do you get the visible fire? You blow on it. Like remember the bellows of blacksmiths and goldsmiths used to have these big bellows which would blow wind, and that would ignite the fire that was simmering. Sometimes you could blow on a fire and the fire will be revealed. Sometimes you need to bring bellows. It's harder work to do it. The same thing sometimes you have something, it gets dusty. So what do? You blow away the dust and the thing is revealed. Sometimes you need a little shovel. Sometimes you need a bulldozer. But it's there. You just have to reveal it. But the Chassidus says about the fire of a gacheles, the simmering coal, there's no open fire, but it's the source of fire. You blow on it, a fire will come out. Then you have what's called Surah Halamish, in English is called a flintstone, which, when you rub it together, like Hashem gave Chachma to Adam Rishon in Parshas Bereishis, the Medrash says, that's why we make Beri Meirei Saturday night. He rubbed two stones together and he created fire. That fire is also, the flintstone is also the source of fire. But the difference is, you blow on a flintstone, you're not going to get fire. You have to rub it. It's much harder. But what's more interesting, if you take coals and put it into water, the fire will be extinguished. You take a flintstone, and you could take the stone, and you could put it into water for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30, 50 years. And you take it out, and you rub it together with another stone, it's going to create fire. That is also the source of fire. But it's a much deeper source of fire. It's not external, you can't just blow at it. But what's unique, that fire, which is the flintstone, is a source of fire. That fire can never become extinguished. It's so deeply rooted, it can never ever become extinguished. And that's the uniqueness what he's talking about here. There are certain times a person needs to reveal the natural love that we all have. The Alter Rebbe says sometimes you need to dig deep. You have to search for a treasure. You need a bulldozer, which is, in our case, breaking the evil of the body, the corruption of the body, like you said, the first method. And then the second method is to meditate. And that brings out this treasure of Yiras Chet, of Yiras Shemaim, that every Jew has. And he says this is higher than time and place. And he says, Ulavi, and to reveal this fear, Lebechinas Machshava Mamish, Mamish to the level of thought, which is in the mind, Lahamik Ba Machshavti, to delve your intellect, Meshech Zman Ma, for an extended period of time, Ashatetzi Pulosa, that the potential that you're meditating into the source of Yiras Shemaim that you have, to bring it out, Mekoyach Lapel Mamish, from the potential to the actual, Hainu Liyasur Merav Aseitev, that you should turn away from evil and do good, but Machshava Dibur Amaisa, in thought, speech, and action, Hashem, in the presence of Hashem, Hatseifa Umabit, that looks deeper, Umazin Umakshiv, and hears, Umavin Al Kol Maseu, Ubeichin Koloyes V'Liban, Hashem checks his kidneys and his heart, like the expression, if he served them properly. So again, in Perek Mem Beis, the Alter Rebbe is explaining that the Jew is full of treasures, of love and fear. But they're buried. We need to reveal them. And there's two ways of doing it. First of all, you have to get rid of the mud. That's the first thing. Then you could go and look for it. But you have to get rid of the initial mud. That's the first thing he said. You have to break your Yetzer Hara, bust it up in a way that it's not getting in your way. But then you have to find the treasure. And you have to bring that treasure from the potential into thought. And from the thought, by meditating on it with your thought, then you bring it into speech and action, and then you end up doing the mitzvah properly. And this is what the Gemara says on the pasuk, Karev elecha davar ma'id, is very close. Or Ma Hashem alokecha shel mimach, what does already God want from you? The only thing He wants is to fear God. Why is that so not difficult? Alter Rebbe asks. Because it exists within us. And every person, Alter Rebbe is going to explain, every person has the ability to reveal that. Because in order to keep Torah and mitzvahs, you need to have fear and love. I mean, you have to have some type of feeling towards Hashem. You have to have some type of awe and respect that I want to go against God. It's there. But we need to reveal it. And that's not difficult. To recreate or to create something new is very difficult. If it's there and all we need to do, like the song goes, is to reveal it, that is possible. That is within the framework and ability of every single Jew. And he says, Alter Rebbe adds to this, well, K'mayim Razal, like the Mishnah says in Pirkei Avos, Histaku b'shleish dvarim. The Mishnah says, reflect upon three things. Ve'inatabali de'avera. You'll never come to sin. Yeah, what are the three things? Ayin Raya, that God is watching us. Eizin Shemas, there's an ear that hears. Okay, V'chul, and so on. Which basically simply means God is watching, God is listening. God doesn't have eyes or ears. What do you mean? You should think that God is watching me and listening. Whatever I say, God knows what I said. In the most hidden rooms. Today we understand it. Because today satellites can see what you're doing in your house. And bugging devices, you can hear something all over the world in a second. So now we understand this Mishnah much better. How can we easily... Examples of how we can easily reveal the fear and love, somebody is asking. Yeah, by just thinking about God a little bit. You know, they tell a story. A guy once came into a shul, very, very depressed in the morning. Somebody asked him, what's wrong? He couldn't say. But he was going crazy, he was depressed. Finally, they bugged him until he said, yeah, okay, I dreamt that God died. So I'm depressed. Somebody said, the big deal, you probably thought about it during the day, so, so you dreamt it at night. The guy says, hey, kid, I haven't thought about God for years. Understand? You want to know an example of how to bring out this level of love and fear? It has to be done by thinking, realization, of what Hashem is, how Hashem is everything in the world. Hashem makes the world. The world's existence is dependent on Hashem's power, and if not, it becomes nothing. And Hashem put us here with a mission on the world to become creators, to become partners with Hashem in creation, and to realize that I have this by nature. Hashem implanted this, or as it says the expression, we got it inheritance from Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. They're Avinus, right? So we are their children, we inherited. Avraham was a level of Ava. Avraham gave over love of Hashem to every single Jew. Yitzchak was Gvura, Yira, fear. He gave that over inheritance to every single Jew. Yaakov was the mid of Tiferes, glory, Rachmim, whatever you want to. He instilled this within every single Jew. We have it. So what do we need to do? We just need to reveal it. So by the way, one simple way of revealing it The Rebbe has told many people, just do a mitzvah. If you ever noticed in Kiruv, people have different methods of Kiruv. Different organizations. And Chabad was the origin of it all. But many people have different styles in being Mekarev people. The Rebbe's opinion was very simple. You meet a Jew, get him to do a mitzvah. Put tefillin on him. Have them light Shabbos candles. Don't sit down and start giving them classes about who knows what philosophy, and then 5 years later you'll ask them to put on tefillin. The Rebbe said, you want to connect a Jew to God? He put tefillin on him. That act of the mitzvah connects him to Hashem forever, permanently. We learned in Perek Chafei of Tanya, the Alter Rebbe said, Yichud zeh l'mayla nitzchi l'olam v'od. This unity, a Jew puts on tefillin once, a woman benches licht, a woman does a mitzvah, that binds with them to Hashem forever. So you want to be able to reveal that level of love to Hashem? Very simple. Do a mitzvah. And then sometimes you need to think also. What is life all about? Is it about eating and drinking, or the World Series, or sports, or movies? Is that what life is really all about? Or is it about something more spiritual? We learned many times there's inanimate, plant, animal, and human. Okay, the purpose of everything is to go higher. Inanimate, water is, you water plants, it becomes the growth of the plant. Plant is eaten by animals, it becomes elevated to animals. Animals are eaten by people. Where do people go? Where do people go? The epitome of creation, where do they go? The uniqueness of a person is das, seichel. That's what's the difference between a person and an animal? We have das and they don't have das. Atochen l'adam das, the first bracha of the Shemona Esrei. What does it mean? Atochen l'adam das. Where does the intellect of a person go? The intellect of the person has to go above intellect. Meaning to realize that there's something we don't understand, and I can't understand, and I don't have to understand it, I just have to connect. Yeah, it's good also to think, to know, to understand, because Hashem gave us a brain. We should be doing that. It doesn't matter if you do mitzvahs without love or fear. Because that doing of the mitzvah will connect you, and then that connection will reveal the love and fear of Hashem. That's what the Rebbe's opinion, that's what I'm saying. The Rebbe's opinion is you do a mitzvah, you're connected. Once you're connected, the love and the fear will come. That will come. Yes, if you want to get it open, revealed, you need to meditate, you need to think that I have this treasure, it's buried by a body, Yetzer Hara, Nefesh Abamis, the world's corruption, it buries it. But I got to do something about it. And by the way, when a person realizes that, then people don't follow the trends. People by nature follow the trends. See, peer pressure, social pressure is very, very powerful. Very powerful. And even to do something wrong, as we all know. We hear about it, we read about it, we see it. Peer pressure can get somebody to commit suicide. Peer pressure can make somebody become corrupt. To kill parents, to run, all these terrible things that social pressure is doing. A person that reaches this level of understanding, that we're above all that, then instead of becoming a follower, the Jew becomes a leader. Everybody says one of the special, not qualities, but what the Rebbe accomplished, the Rebbe didn't make followers. The Rebbe made leaders. Power, which is partnership, okay, diminishes. If I own a company by myself, I'm 100% in control. Now I bring in a partner, I lost 50% of my power. If I bring in another partner, I lose 63, whatever, percent. Power, if you give it up, you lose it. Influence, not only do you not lose it, if I influence you to do good, I didn't lose anything by it. And now that I gain by influencing you. And then when you influence somebody else, that's also to my credit. You know, in the scheme of in the pyramid of things, so to speak. That's all rewarded. So a person understands, instead of following the trend, the Rebbe's opinion was, make the trend. Create it. Don't be a follower. You know, there's a song, don't walk behind me, and may not lead. Okay? Just walk by side. Because what the Rebbe is saying over here is, this ability, this treasure that a Jew has, no other nation has. We're the chosen people for this mission, to bring godliness into the world. 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach that we're going to read about in this week's parsha and last week's parsha, Beishas and Noach. It all is about civilizing the world. It's not about bringing kedusha into the world. All the 7 Noach laws are to civilize the world. There shouldn't be idolatry, adultery, murder, stealing, set up a judiciary system, no cruelty to animals. That's all civilizing the world. The Jew has Yerusha from Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov the ability to reveal this piece of godliness within them, to dictate their life, and not only that, not to be followers of the craziness and corruption of the world, but on the contrary, to bring light to the world, to be a leader. Because a little bit of darkness, a little bit of light dispels a lot of darkness. So how do you want to reveal that, and what is it like when we reveal it? When we reveal this level of love and fear of Hashem, our lives are much more disciplined, our lives are much more sanctified. It's not about eating and drinking and money and sleeping. It's not about having a good time, because that's all animalistic. Animals eat and drink and sleep and have a good time. They don't have to go to work either. But then what are we lowering ourselves from human state to animal state? That's not what it's all about. Our mission is to bring godliness into the world by revealing this level of a person is a microcosm. A person is a mini world. The Medrash says a person's olam katan, a small world. What's the world? When a person reveals godliness within themselves, that is a microcosm for the world, that now godliness is revealed in the world. So not only did you accomplish it by yourselves, we actually accomplished it in the world at large for every person to be able to be following the right way of Torah mitzvahs. And the pasuk says, "V'holchu goyim la'orech." Even the non-Jews go by the light of Torah, the light of Jews. We have to be the example setters to bring out this godliness, this infinite power, like he says, which is above time and place, within the human being, that dictates our life and the life of everybody else. And that's the power that we have. And that's what happens when we have Yerushalayim. So like the Rabbi explains, it's not worth it? It's not worth the time and effort to dig to get a treasure when you know for sure you're going to get a treasure? Then any work is nothing. So how much more so we're talking about a treasure of godliness within us, infinite, spirituality, partners with Hashem in creation. It's not power, it's influence. So then we live it, a whole different lifestyle. That's the Yiras Shamayim that a person is supposed to have. Okay, we'll leave it here. Next Monday, don't forget we changed the clock this Saturday night, but it's still going to be 8 o'clock. Until then, everybody have a great, great week. Have a great Shabbos. And hopefully we'll see you Monday. Take care.